Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Get More Students podcast. I'm your co-host, Alex Asher, CEO of LearnCube.
And I'm Herbert Gerzer, founder of Herbert Gerzer Digital.
And we were talking, Herbert and I, obviously experiencing quite a heat wave where we both live, and thinking, you know what, summer is definitely here, and certainly the tutoring businesses that are often very quiet in this time may be actually looking for an opportunity to grow, to reinforce their business, and possibly also to provide a bit more resilience and a bit kind of less of this kind of peaks and troughs with that business. And so what we wanted to talk today about is how to not lose your students over the summer, and possibly, how to even grow your business over the summer.
Definitely. I think a lot of education institutes experience a lull in summer and are always trying to come up with ideas of how to maintain customers or retain customers, and also have consistent revenue over those warmer months. So yeah, happy to get into that.
So we are going to crack through this. We've got the main ideas that we want to get across is, first of all, why you should be thinking about this and why this is a good time to be thinking about how to keep either your current students engaged and or to kind of build your business. We're going to talk about what kind of different summer programs can look like. And then we're also going to be talking about how to market that, the channels used, the language used, the imagery used, and how we can kind of build possibly a really nice lifeline for you over the summer break. So let's get started with, why would we want to keep working over the summer break? First of all, I do want to acknowledge there are a lot of people that deserve a great summer break, and no problem with that. But I think there are a couple of reasons why you might consider it. I'll start with the first. From your own company perspective, you definitely don't want to lose students over this period. And when I say students, it could be the parents themselves. So when you have particularly a long break, that is the perfect time for somebody to leave you. Particularly if you're not engaging with them, if you're not having any kind of interaction, because you go from being top of mind to being out of mind. And that also provides a really great way for competitors potentially to get top of mind, and possibly for people to also think, hey, maybe tutoring isn't something that I need anymore. And so we want to avoid that and avoid you finding a lull at the start of your business. Instead, we want everybody to come back, hitting particularly the new academic year strong and all there. So there's a sense of continuity. I think there's also an aspect of, some tutors will also want a degree of flexibility, but that's also going to be for the student and parents. So you can kind of work your way around that, particularly with online tutoring these days. You don't always have to commit to long blocks of time and providing, an in-person experience, which is totally fine as well, but it does require a different level of resources and commitment to the summer program. It's also going to be a way of you growing your business and increasing your revenue, which, again, is not a bad thing. And if you think about it, if you were otherwise going to do nothing and you were somehow able to, build some revenue over the summer, that might already increase your annual turnover just by that fact alone by about 10-20% potentially. So it's well worth thinking, since this summer does last a quarter of the year. Herbert, what are some of the reasons why students also might be interested in these kinds of programs?
Absolutely, to continue their progress when it comes to learning. 2.5 months is a very long time. And usually it's like the break, no studying, no learning, no school. But it can also be a bit of a trap. So, keeping students kind of in that learning mode can be in a fun way. So it's a bit more lighthearted over the summer break, but enabling them to catch up if they might be struggling or need more reinforcement in a particular subject or a particular area, or to kind of get ahead before the new semester starts. And of course, reducing boredom is probably a huge pain point, not only for students, but parents as well, of trying to keep their kids busy over such a long period of time.
That's it. And those parents, as you say, are looking for that continued progress. They're looking for peace of mind. But I wanted to touch base on this idea as well of how to sell this to students. And when I say sell, it's exactly the same thing in a way. Like the parents are needing to sell this in the right positive way to students. But when we're talking about this, and I'm sure many of you listening here believe also in the idea of kids being able to be kids. So this is not something that we're kind of, on our side, we're not trying to push kids to work every hour of their summer break. I think it's actually about also transforming the narrative a little bit from, I think, particularly in tutoring, and it can be with certain education, that education is a really fun thing. It's a privilege, and it's something you want to do, not necessarily a chore or something you hate doing. And in fact, even tutoring can kind of be presented that way. It's a bit of a treat to be able to have some bandwidth, when you're not having to do all of your extra stuff, if you're a younger student, having to do all of your schoolwork plus some extra activities on top, or if you're an adult user or an adult learner, having to do all of your extra work and then not being able to actually focus on particularly if it came to, say, language tutoring, that might be a really good time for you to actually have some bandwidth to think about things without, the daily stresses of life. So I think it's important that you're not just selling to the parents and students, but you're also helping parents and students buy in a really genuine way that makes them feel like, hey, this is something for me, not something that is particularly, I would be very sensitive to a student feeling like this is like a punishment that they're having to work over the summer break. I always think that would be quite a negative start to a course or program. Whereas if the program is set up that, no, this is about discovery, it's about, hey, maybe you felt like you left the last semester on a bit of a low, getting you back up to a bit of a high, like having caught up on the things you didn't do so well. Now that you've got time that you could really focus on a particular subject rather than having to do all your own work plus having to do something really mentally demanding in a subject maybe you struggle with. So, I mean, Herbert, what do you think on that kind of concept as well?
Absolutely love it. It should always be a positive experience, especially in summer. I mean, in any time, and I guess that also influences how you market and how you structure your summer programs.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about this later, but you could just imagine the different imagery you might have for a summer program, something light, flexible, fun, versus maybe an academic or, during your normal working time, which would be maybe more serious, maybe more like progress driven and results driven. So I think already you can kind of start to see how you might shape your summer offer. And we're going to talk about those different offers. So Herbert, what did you think when it comes to the different offers that are available to tutoring businesses, for example?
Well, of course, there is one-to-one private for that extra attention. Hard to make this, I mean, to package it in a fun way, since it's not outside. I mean, you could still have it outside, but you're not meeting new people. But a lot of parents and also children really find one-to-one tuition very valuable to focus on the needs of that individual students. But when we're talking about courses, maybe subject or topic specific courses in the classroom, workshops, but also camps. There is a huge demand for camps, especially in-person camps in locations, more like a destination. I mean, a few of our clients sell summer camps, both academic and language camps, tutoring camps, and they've sold out for this year, like completely sold out, not a space available, just because everyone wants to travel and be outside and go back to normal.
Yeah, I think particularly in the language area, that makes total sense. I think if you're more in the tutoring area, I do think that there's a way of packaging it, it's in a way you're trying to get the parents that their kid has already said, hey, I'm on a bit of a low. I'm not looking forward to going back into the next term. And then it's not such a struggle to go into that one-to-one. I think the other way I would be pitching the one-to-one, if you're in language, for example, might be, it's kind of a fun thing you could even do on holiday. You don't have to be at the office to do a language one-on-one tutoring class. Like this is like the time where you've got some bandwidth and you could do something fun, maybe even getting, I could just imagine, particularly if it was language tutoring, you could be doing it in the country itself potentially and be getting this tutoring as you move around. I mean, there's some fun ways you can kind of position this. But I think in that one-to-one area, you're probably more about trying to, in your marketing, be attracting the right kind of student and parents, and not necessarily trying to convince somebody that, if you don't do this, you're going to be left behind, which can sometimes be a bit negative, and instead be looking for the student, parent, adult, whoever it is, that's actually looking to be able to get that edge, intrinsically, or looking to catch up intrinsically and have that intrinsic motivation.
Exactly.
So then we've got those different options as we kind of talked about. You can go one-to-one, small groups, or even these large camps. Now, naturally, if you are doing these larger camps, there's kind of more involved, more structure, and possibly we may have missed that window for this particular summer. But as I say, if you were kind of in a tutoring business, there's nothing stopping you from offering a promotion next week. Anything online, in fact, you could be offering something to your clientele, next week with a bit of thought on what your promotion might be, what that program might be. Could be some fun. So let's think about how to market. And I think we've almost touched on some of these ideas already, Herbert. So what do we need? What's the language that we want to use?
You're very positive and future oriented language about, and motivating language rather than, are you struggling? This is to ensure that you excel in the new semester. It really is just a slight play on words, but it makes a huge difference.
That makes a lot of sense. Like in normal time, like working times, you are trying to fix problems. This is fixing a problem, but that's why I was talking about the intrinsic motivation. That would be the problem you might be fixing necessarily. But the alternative is to turn it into like a positive, fun thing that you want to be a part of. And otherwise you'd be kind of missing out, or maybe, it's a thing to do that I think, people would enjoy. So flexibility is, I think, a key word to use, particularly if you're in the online space. It provides that, but it means that people don't feel like you can either have your holiday or you can do this. No. You can do both, and both are great things. And in fact, the program that we're offering is actually going to make your summer better.
Yeah.
So I think definitely getting in out of that sort of either or, and that's why it has to be positive and light. And so that's probably going to turn into the imagery as well, Herbert. Like, again, you have been marketing summer courses for a very long time. What is the kind of imagery that people will want to see in this?
Well, definitely happy faces. Of course, the images need to be bright. We're in summer. It needs to be in line with what we see outside. Trying to get it outside of the classroom, which I know is not always possible, especially if you're doing maybe one-to-one tutoring. But if you're doing maybe a course, with more participants, or even a camp, then you definitely want to show activities and kids having fun playing outside and learning as well.
Totally agree.
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, so groups particularly, I really like that idea, activities, and alluding to being outside. I think also not only do participants want to be outside, but also possibly parents in that case will want their kids outside. In the one-to-one space, I think also with just a little bit of thought, you can make sure that those images look like they've been held in summer. They look fun, rather than being at a desk and looking too serious.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some ideas on how to go about, the language. And we've actually talked quite a lot about the different types of language you can use. Remember as well, you can, when you're thinking about how to market as well, like packaging and pricing can really help here. So groups and camps are ways of reducing the overall sense of that cost. So those are quite helpful ways of getting that down. And even if you're doing one-to-one, you might be able to give a sense of value by having a course or having some kind of structure. I think it's a bit of a hard ask if you agree on this, Herbert, but this idea of like some wishy-washy kind of classes every now and again for summer, I don't know. It just seems like you want to have flexibility, but you want to have a sense that I will have actually achieved something.
Right? Like this, 4-week refresher course, get ready for
now we're
the
talking.
next semester kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess the example I had in mind was, if you asked a student, like, hey, what do you want to work on? They're like, I don't want to work on anything necessarily. It sort of puts it into the student's responsibility to kind of come up with what the outcome of that program or course is going to be. Whereas if it was, as you kind of say, it's a refresher course, and at the end of that, you're going to feel confidence going into that new semester. Again, if confidence was the problem that the student also realized that they had it, then that's going to work quite well. If it's in language education, again, that sense of like, hey, could we get up a level in the summer break, because you're going to have bandwidth. We can do it remotely, so you've still got that flexibility to go away if you need to, and we can kind of just make it work. Again, I think that's going to be much more successful than, hey, have a think about some kind of summer classes. It just doesn't feel like, I'll do it tomorrow then. I think the key thing for me is this idea of having a program and actually having something every week, as opposed to, hey, just so you know, we're still open for business. You know what I mean? It's sort of a different angle. Yeah.
It's more tangible as well.
Yeah. It shows that you're deliberate and you know that there's going to be something great that they're going to get out of it. Yeah. Excellent. We're going to now talk about the channels to do this. What's the number one channel in your view, Herbert?
Email marketing. I mean, use that client list. You should have the emails of your current and past customers, and that's what email marketing was invented for. So definitely shooting out some marketing emails or an email sequence to promote your summer offers. Discounts are quite common in summer for education brands to drum up business. So email is great for that. Then I would say a little bit of advertising, whether that be on maybe just a simple retargeting campaign on Facebook, Instagram, perhaps on Google as well. And of course, your website, have a big pop-up screen or a bubble with your summer programs or summer offer, especially if you're having a promotion. Post it on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, maybe do a little video about it. And of course, maybe utilizing notice boards or forums or anywhere that your students or customers get informed.
Yeah. I think also you probably want to set the scene with this. So one of the things I thought you said that was really accurate there, Herb, was it's a sequence of emails, not just one.
No.
So if you send a single email, I wouldn't expect actually you're going to suddenly go, oh, you know what? That's it. Perfect. No. You know that it's literally 95%. Well, probably now it's about 80% of people won't even open the email itself. So you're going to need to send enough so that they're going to at least open one of those emails and then get curious enough to possibly take some sort of action. Yeah. And secondly, in general, like 5% maybe will actually take kind of action on that again. So you need enough numbers, which means you also possibly need to email that list more than once to feel that you're getting results.
Absolutely. And also using multiple channels, well, because people are on holiday. Email is probably the last thing they see, but they are scrolling through their phones, especially, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. People are at the beach or doing whatever. That's why it's good to have a multi-platform strategy when it comes to promotion, to catch people where they are spending time online.
Yeah. I was thinking one of the things you might also want to do is, before you go straight away with the offer, is possibly set the scene and aggravate the pain, right?
Yeah.
It could be a pain point, which is like, let's put it yourself in this, particularly in a tutoring student's perspective. The pain for them might be, feeling like, a bit unconfident about something, or they just didn't hit what they wanted to. So you can kind of start your emails being maybe quite informative, like, and they can actually end up being positive, like, hey, test results aren't everything. You've still got a great, these are 5 things that you can do to increase X, Y, or Z. There's some kind of information you can provide that's positive, that kind of gets them at least contemplating, because otherwise you're getting them like so cold that they haven't even contemplated that they might do some kind of level of education during summer. So you kind of just start surfacing this idea of like, hey, actually, I'd like to do something this summer, whether it be in a pain area. As I say, it could be something that they're unhappy with, that they want to fix, or starting to be like, hey, here's something in a parent's perspective, if you were advertising to parents, hey, this is an activity you could do with your kid.
Yeah.
That kind of helps them prep for the next year or whatever that might be. That's already then putting the parent into, wouldn't it be great actually if we felt like my kid was sort of, wasn't just starting on a cold engine, they were kind of both refreshing themselves, but staying in a habit of learning and feeling more and more confident for the semester ahead. So start with that. And again, I can imagine this being also in your ads here, Herbert. Maybe instead of immediately going with a cold, hard offer, is start, even in social, right? Like, is start building that sense of like, actually, this is something I'll be interested in.
You can do that over a few posts, posted over a week. Or you could do it in a carousel post, where you have different images or different videos. You could record a video for paid ad campaigns where you explain and do a little bit of storytelling, or get a testimonial from a parent or a student. There are so many options.
Totally. One other thing I think is quite useful is sometimes you don't get any organic traffic, let's say with your Facebook or Instagram. Look, it's not uncommon for a lot of tutoring businesses to sort of suffer from this. But often, if you are eventually going to be pushing on your email and or on ads, they will often go to those channels to look things up. And if you've already set up basically the steps that take somebody from totally cold, hadn't even thought of it, to, actually, this is perking my interest. That second post, actually, that was totally bang. Yeah, okay. Now I kind of believe that these guys will or girls will be able to deliver on this great experience over the summer. Now I'm actually ready to buy, and then they use that as social proof for actually making the purchase.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've armed you with an idea for this summer. Herbert, any last ideas or tips? I've got one before you think of one, or I'll give you an idea.
Yeah.
Is you were saying things before, but the one thing that stood out before, Herbert, was this idea of limited time. You said it before when you were talking about camps and groups, but sometimes you don't need to offer a discount. You need to give a sense of like urgency.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now, I mean, we're halfway through summer, so there is a sense of urgency anyway inbuilt. If you decide to launch something in the next week or two, not only will you have a sense of urgency, but the customer as well.
Fantastic. And anything else that sort of comes to mind?
No, I think we hit all the hot topics, Alex, on really how to make the most of summer. And possibly for tutoring businesses out there that haven't already launched something for summer, now could be the time.
Definitely. So stay busy over summer. Don't lose those students regardless. And actually, one of the things we didn't discuss is even if you don't want to offer a summer program, you should keep with your summer marketing. So that means continue to provide value. Even if you're not going to offer anything, talk about how you're going to prepare people, what your plans are, how you can how people can still get value from you during this break, because you don't want competitors filling that void over this time. We've talked about the different summer programs. We've talked about how to market them, the channels to go for. So hopefully all goes well. And please let us know if you decide to offer this summer program. But from our side, thank you very much. Herbert, where can people find you?
At herbertgozer.com.
Likewise, if you are interested in LearnCube, we offer a virtual classroom and all-in-one solution called our online school for tutoring businesses. You can find us at www.learncube.com. You can also subscribe to this podcast, which you should definitely do, and also engage with our getmorestudents.org community. That's www.getmorestudents.org. And you can enter a community of tutoring and language professionals and companies that are looking for ideas, inspiration, and motivation around marketing. And that's what Herbert and I are here to provide. So enjoy your summer, folks, and talk again soon.
See you in the next one.